Welcome back to another episode of Psych Waves. I'm Dr. Teresa Anderson, your host and owner of the Anderson Clinic in Cincinnati, Ohio. We specialize in treatment-resistant depression, anxiety, and PTSD. We use a modality of treatment methods, including psychotherapy, medication management, as well as personalized TMS, ketamine infusions, and Spravato. Today, I am absolutely thrilled to have a guest on our podcast today by the name of LeeAnn Eakins, and she is a lovely lady who I met a few weeks ago. As luck would have it, my admin was listening to the radio and heard her advertisement. She does trauma-informed martial arts, which is fascinating. And I thought, I have to meet this lady. This is like dovetails with what we do naturally. We treat a lot of folks who have PTSD and trauma. And I'm just really fascinated how you even got into this. And welcome, by the way. So
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here, Dr. Anderson. So it's been great meeting your staff and seeing your clinic and everything as well. So I couldn't be more excited to be here.
very cool. So give me an idea. What is trauma-informed martial arts exactly?
Well, so obviously you guys have heard of martial arts, right? So trauma-informed martial arts is a way of teaching martial arts to those who've experienced trauma, and we take into account that trauma has occurred and that can have a lasting effect on the person both physically and emotionally. And so basically we're helping those who have experienced trauma regain and their own feeling of power and feeling safe in the body. So we basically apply the ideas and the concepts of being trauma-informed care to teaching martial arts.
That's incredible. And I know for a lot of my folks who have experienced either acute or chronic trauma, that a lot of the issue arises from the nervous system being really overactive, that sympathetic overdrive. They're in a state of fight or flight. And
Right.
my brother was a martial artist. He has like 4 separate black belts. And I know, like, I've
Mm-hmm.
seen part of those classes where it's like, oh, you're going to step in really close to that person and get up close and personal. That can probably be really activating for those folks.
Of course, almost everything we do in martial arts can be activating for a person. I mean, in order
Makes
to
sense.
practice self-defense moves, you have to, one, be very close to each other. Two, we're figuring out how to evade, block, counter punches and kicks. So what could be more activating than that, having just a
Right.
big punch or kick thrown at your face. And so we do work on how to manage our body and those reactions as we go through the sessions. There are 6 sessions in a full session of team, or 6 classes in a full session of TEMA, trauma-informed martial arts. And we work on that, and we start slow and we build up so that we're building confidence in the person, in their moves and abilities. And eventually, we might sometimes see a little flinching at the beginning of the sessions, and we work on that. And that's why it's really, really important to build up safety in our training area and collaboration and all the things that make a good trauma-informed program and approach.
So I know you're trained as a psychotherapist. Do you utilize some breathing exercises or coping skills, or do you teach some of that into the class, like inherently, just in case somebody
Yeah.
is to get triggered or has a panic attack or what have you?
So we use that a couple different ways. Actually, we start and end every class with some somatic exercises,
Oh, nice.
so that we are teaching coping skills as we go, so people can build up a repertoire there of coping strategies. And then, of course, I watch out. Part of the trauma-informed approach is that the instructor has to watch very closely during all of the classes with all of our students, and we keep our class sizes small for this particular reason. And we watch just to make sure nobody's having an adverse reaction or anything like that. If they are, we're able to be right there and help
Nice.
them get through that. I am proud to say, we're coming up on year 3 here, and I've only had that happen one time in
Oh,
one class.
nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
so we do a lot of things up front to plan, and
Smart.
provide safety, so that we can avoid those types of reactions. But the reality is we have to be ready for them in case they happen.
Okay. So, are you the only instructor in the area, or do you train other instructors, or how does that work?
Well, right now, so I actually developed the trauma informed martial arts program that I teach,
Very
and so
cool.
it's the only one of its kind. I've come in contact with a couple of people around the United States who do also do trauma informed work. I'm not familiar with their programs or exactly how they approach that, but like I said, we're coming up on our third year here, and right now, the only place you can find trauma informed martial arts is in Cincinnati, Ohio, in Anderson Township. So,
Congrats. That's amazing.
my goal, yeah, I'm sorry.
Congrats. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you. My goal, though, is to be able to train other martial artists as the program grows so that they can also teach in this trauma informed manner. So I figured it'd be easier to train martial artists to do trauma informed than it might be to train psychotherapists to be martial artists.
Probably.
So,
I
at
would love
least
to attend your
instructors.
class at some point when the calendar lines up, but that yeah,
That'd be
probably
great.
probably so. Probably so. Does your so help me out because I'm ignorant about all this stuff. Is
Okay.
is is your class based mainly off of the idea of self-defense, or is it like based off karate or judo or jujitsu, or what is the
So the class that I teach, and first of all, let me just say that trauma informed, the program that I've designed, trauma informed martial arts, TIMA for short, that's our pet name for it, right? So the TIMA program can actually be adapted to any style of martial arts.
Ooh,
Okay.
cool.
Yeah. So, but the one that I teach is based off of Marudo, which is part of Martial Arts America, which is the federation that I study with and have been with for quite a while now. And they have been wonderful to me, and actually have Mike Franzen, the owner and founder of that federation, has really empowered me to be able to do the TEMA program. So he gave me the space. He does a lot of great business consultation for me. Even looking at what self defense moves to teach and things like that. But yes, we do primarily teach self defense. It is a self defense class, and it is what you can use practically in the world. It's not
Lovely.
going to be what you see in the movies. Um,
Not
so
John Wick, that sort of.
no, not really. In fact, in self defense, a lot of times you'll find that very small movements can have the biggest effect. And so I like to teach a lot of those. Those can be very empowering for people.
Just like small changes in therapy can make the world of difference over time. Like
Amen.
not
Yeah,
over
that's right.
people. Yeah, I love that. That is
Hmm.
so awesome. So, what if I was seeing a young lady who had
Hmm.
had some sexual trauma in her history
Hmm.
and wanted to learn how to defend herself, but was afraid to join a class full of big, beefy, burly guys?
Well, she wouldn't have to. She would
Okay.
come. You would give her my number, and
Okay.
and actually, she could also check out our website, which also talks about part of the trauma informed model is providing gender specific classes in this
Nice.
area. So we have a women's class, we have a men's class, and then we have a class that is for the LGBTQ community.
That's so lovely and so
So.
thoughtful. I love that because it speaks to so many aspects because I know while specifically sexual trauma is a lot more women are more commonly the victims, right?
Sure.
Um, but still, we have a male population who have been
Mm-hmm.
victimized as well, especially at younger
Mm-hmm.
ages, when they're more vulnerable. But also, we have folks who have seen military action and seen
Mm-hmm.
war traumas and that sort of thing. And so
Right.
it's so lovely that you have a mix that you can kind of separate and have a separate safe
Mm-hmm.
space for each of those groups. That's just lovely.
Right. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Do
So yeah.
you do you have folks that work with you that help you lead the classes and kind of monitor when things go sideways and kind of
Mm-hmm.
watch out for folks while they're interacting with people?
So I used to have an assistant instructor, who is my daughter,
Oh,
Kimber, and
lovely.
who she's a martial artist as well. But now she has to go get her own life since she'll be going to college soon. So, but now we're to the point where I actually have some TEMA alumni who come back and help teach classes. And so a lot of times they're in there with me as well. And in fact, one is a good friend of mine who is also a therapist, which is very, very helpful, right? So,
So cool. That is
yeah.
amazing. Now, when I heard about what you did, I was like, oh my gosh, I wish that like all of my professional people would take these classes and share the love, not just because of what you do is very important, but also because, a lot of my cohorts are in an individual practice all by themselves with no admin
Yes.
support and and that if a person
Mm-hmm.
can become escalated can sometimes get out of hand, and we know that
Sure.
violence can be propagated towards
Mm-hmm.
clinicians as well, and so that's really,
Sure.
I feel like it's a safety measure for patients and clinicians alike in a way.
And it spans out to so many other career paths as well. Realtors.
That makes sense
You
because a
know,
lot of their work is on nights and weekends when nobody else is
hmm
working. Yeah.
well, and they're out there showing homes to people they don't know.
Big empty space. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow.
So, just all different types of careers like that. And we just don't always think about our safety. And that is a main focus of TEMA, is just to be safe and to feel safe, not only in your own body, but as you walk through the community. I have heard so many stories since I started this program about women being scared to go to the grocery store at night. And even though, I'm a trauma therapist and do all of this work, I really had no idea that so many women were scared to go to the grocery store at night. And it's the walking through the parking lot. But, I was at the grocery store the other night. It was still light out, but all of a sudden, there was a man in my window. And I'm like, what is going on? And
Wow.
he did end up saying through my window, because I'm not getting out of the car at that point, so, and, or rolling down my window or anything, but he said, oh, I was just looking at your car. And
Uh-huh.
then he went off and he wasn't even parked near me. It was very strange, and I'm like, this is what these women are scared of. This is, and we should be able to walk around in the world like
Absolutely.
that. I mean, who doesn't need to go to the grocery store, right? Or
At any
really
time of day.
anywhere.
At any, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
will tell you, we just had a lady who is in her, I want to say she was 73. Oh man, she came into class and said she was there because she just wasn't feeling as secure, being in the world, and she
Okay.
wanted to be able to defend herself. And she left that class. She was just a powerhouse. I'm telling you, she was awesome.
That is so
So,
cool.
and she was getting it. So, we do
I
this
love
little
that.
obstacle course, usually the last day of the session. And she was totally, totally getting it. I was like, man, I don't want to mess with her. So,
That is so cool. I love that you empower
hmm
people of all ages, races, religions, sexes, genders, all the things. I love that. That is so awesome. I have to tell you, one of the big things that I've had to help patients overcome,
hmm
especially when they have chronic PTSD,
hmm
is that there's so much dissociation happening, not
yes.
just if they're triggered or if they're under a stressor, right? But
hmm
it's just like they're literally psychically living, their head is separate from their body, right? It's like they're
Yes.
kind of off in la
hmm
la land, either ruminating or replaying something bad that
Right.
happened, and they're not necessarily paying attention actively to their
hmm
surroundings, even though their nervous system is in a hypervigilant state. They're kind
Right.
of not all
Not
together
there.
present
hmm
in the moment, which could
hmm
then further put them at risk for more trauma. It's kind of
Exactly.
paradoxical in that way, right? It's like you think you're, oh, I'll hypervigilant, I'm looking
Certainly.
for everything, but also you're
hmm
so in your head about things that have happened that you're not actually present in this moment right here in your environment.
Right. Right. Well, one of the things that we do work on is the mind body connection. And then, of course, there have been a lot of studies done even before I started doing this work, about how martial arts training helps with mental acuity and helps with that concentration and helps with those negative cognitive distortions and
Absolutely.
whatnot. We also have a theme for every class that deals with both recovery and might I add too that this really isn't just about trauma recovery. I've found since we started the program that people come who have anxiety, trauma, of course, grief. I was actually kind of surprised by that one, but then I thought it makes perfect sense, right? So, really, while it's called trauma informed martial arts, it's really a way to help people with mental health issues recover. So, and that's not just specific to trauma.
Awesome.
So, um, but, and a lot of it is about it being empowering for them, you know, and getting back on track, getting back to, like you said, you know, being present in the moment. So, but we have a specific theme for each class that deals with both recovery from mental health and martial arts. And then I go through in class how we can apply that to both. And we deal with things like cognitive distortions or redirection or what are some of our other themes? Gosh, why am I drawing a blank? Overcoming
You literally
obstacles.
have a microphone on you right now. That's why.
Right. Overcoming obstacles, foundation, and how do we make our foundation stronger? So things like that.
I love that because that speaks to not just empowerment, but an actualization of your own internal strength, right? Like it doesn't matter what happened to me. It doesn't matter what my story has been. Right here and right now, I can be strong enough to overcome this particular adversity. I love that.
Our two main goals that I like to focus on in TEMA are finding your power and finding your voice.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot.
So I don't know if you've ever noticed, probably if you watched a lot of martial arts, we yell a lot.
Yes,
So,
yes, you do.
Yeah, that's a key up. That's it's called an energy shout. That's a Japanese term for energy shout, and there have actually been a lot of studies on that too. That we gain power, and we are able to expel that power more when we yell or grunt, or you've watched tennis players, or my favorite are the strongman competitions, and they're always grunting and you can tell, especially when we do things like board breaking or concrete breaking. And we don't do that in TEMA, by the way. That's more advanced, but we do yell in TEMA. So there's that. But you can tell when somebody's going up and they can be focused and they can have good technique and all of this stuff, and it's just not quite happening for their break. And we'll go, I'm not hearing you. And as soon as they put that yell with it, that shout, that key up, boom, the magic happens.
That's awesome. Is that idea based off like chi and like life force and that sort of stuff, or is that separate?
I'm not totally positive. Sounds like a good theory. So we'll have to look into that one a little more and
Well,
get back to everybody on
my
that.
brother being who he was, I've read a lot of Bruce Lee. So the whole 1-inch punch thing and the four.
Oh yeah,
it's fascinating to think about. I don't know how it could be scientifically proven, but it's fascinating to think about. So
there are a lot of things that aren't scientifically proven, but they have a lot of scientific facts behind them. So
and somehow they are anyway.
well, just like we can't really prove this, this whole idea that the mind-body separation, scientifically. I mean, there are things that we can show, and we could show that, the mitochondria break down in the body when people experience trauma. We know that trauma is stored in the body. That's my favorite one. We can't really prove that one. We see it. We see a lot of correlation, right? We know that a lot of people we treat for trauma have all of these physical conditions. I used to work in an inpatient, or excuse me, it was a intensive outpatient program for women, and almost every woman there had endometriosis or fibromyalgia.
Interesting.
But also part of the criteria for the program was it was pretty stealth. It was having psychiatric issues, having coexisting substance use issues, a significant history of trauma, And then, of course, these ladies were all court ordered to be in the program, so there was some involvement with the criminal justice system.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
usually drug related. Mm-hmm.
there are significant correlations, and so many of them are
Sure.
symbolic, which is fascinating. And I can't tell you the number
Mm-hmm.
of yoga teachers I've had approach me and say, whenever we release the psoas, there's lots of crying and puking involved. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, then
Mm-hmm.
that's different. I don't. Yeah, I.
Right. And we don't, those are the things we don't have proof for, but we see them work over and over and over again. So, I can't quite explain scientifically why periodically a woman will be punching something in class. We punch a lot of targets. We don't actually punch each other. So just for clarity's sake. But and now tears are falling.
Hmm.
But they're good tears. They're cathartic tears,
Mhm.
And I don't have any scientific proof behind that. And you know what? I'm all for scientific proof and things like that, but I don't need it in this case.
I agree with you, by the way. So if you do the, what is it, 6-week class, the
Yes.
TEMA class, and
Mm-hmm.
decide to, hey, I really like this and I want to continue, do you do it
Mm-hmm.
again, or is there an advanced level of the TEMA class, or what is the?
So there's not an advanced level of the TEMA class. What some people do, you have a couple of choices there. Some people will repeat the class. I think I've had one lady who's taken the class 9 times, maybe. Some people will move on to a regular martial arts program. It really is designed also to help you transition into a normal, non trauma focused
Sure.
martial arts class, and so that you can continue your martial arts journey if that's what is in your future. Not everybody wants to do that. Some people take the class and they're done, and they feel really empowered. They're ready to go take on the world. Sometimes people will come back after a little while. So there are all kinds of things that happen. But there is not a team of two as of right now.
Okay, maybe something to
So
consider in the future, huh?
there might be. There might be.
Very
So.
cool. So if
Mhm.
somebody were interested in your program, how would they go about getting a
Mhm.
hold of you?
Well, they could always check out our website at TIMA, TIMA, Cincy, CINCI.com. We have lots of great information in there. You can learn all about the program and the things that it can do for you. You can see when our upcoming sessions are. And then you can also email us through that site. And of course, it also gives you the number straight to TIMA, which is 513-226-2858.
Fantastic. Well,
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much for sharing. This has been awesome and amazing. And every time I chat with you, I've so enjoyed it and I learned so much. This is like so incredible. I love that this is out there as an option for folks who've been traumatized, or even just anybody wanting to learn self-defense. I think this is such a
Mm-hmm.
cool way to go about doing it. And I love how you're doing it. And I love that you're a trailblazer. That is so awesome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I enjoy learning more about all of the work that you do as well, especially as we've talked about the PRTMS. And actually, I would like to study TEMA at some point in a more scientific manner and see,
Yeah. To see if
let's
there were
maybe.
actual brain changes, to see if,
Yes.
yeah, that would be
Mm-hmm.
super cool. Oh, well,
Yeah.
I
Then
look
we.
forward to a partnership in the future.
Yeah. Then we could put some kind of scientific data behind it.
I
So that'd
love
be great.
that. I love
Mm-hmm.
that. Well, guys, if you like what you've heard, feel free to drop a like and follow. And if you are in the local Cincinnati area, you can visit us at www.andersonclinic.net, or you can give us a call at 513-321-1753. Make it a great day.